Hello, everyone. Welcome to 5 Questions with LeRoy Butler. We are here after the Packers improved to 6-1.
Ask me why I'm smiling again.
I don't think either of us would have predicted 6-1 after.
Well,
even you, who picks the Packers every single week, would have imagined they'd be 6-1 in reality. But this is, I don't think you could have written a better start than what they've had so far.
No question. I mean, there was a lot of turmoil last year, and to get to this particular point, you got to give Matt LaFleur a lot of credit. You really do. I mean, I love his system. I mean, him and Pettit both have put together a system that each week is going to be a different guy who's going to be the hero, or the best player or the impact player. And this week it was Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers did some of the things that in this offense, something I've been saying for a while, his ball handling skills is the best I've ever seen in his career. And I think it fools a lot of defenses to either guess if he has the ball or not. And he even carries out fakes when the runner has the ball. He's always setting up the next play, which is good because him and LaFleur seem to be on the same page on what do we want to do. Because Aaron Jones had 12 rushes for 50 yards. But remember last week he missed a wide open, touchdown.
Yeah, this time he caught it.
They come back and they set up for him. And using the running backs, that was a great shot, Bill. That shot there is great because he had to turn his head around.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And that was a great throw, too.
I think one thing lost in, everything was made of Rodgers having a perfect passer rating, and he was good. But how many guys were open in that?
Yes.
Where he just had guys open all day long, and they made great catches like Aaron Jones. Alan Lazard had that leaping catch.
Yes.
Even Jimmy Graham's in the touchdown, he had to go low for that and grab it. It seemed like every time Rodgers needed an open receiver, he could find one.
Here's why this will be more impressive than most of his other games that he had a great rating. This is why this will be the best. Not for the 158.3, no. He can do that, I think, a lot.
Yeah.
Here's why it's best to me. He had no number one receiver.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams wasn't there. You have a rookie left guard in Jenkins.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a backup to another team, Turner as your other right guard.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not the greatest, offense of all time, but he made it great this week because 8 different guys are catching passes.
Right. I'm going to correct everybody and say that hands down, his best game ever was that Atlanta divisional playoff game.
Oh, you got a good. Oh, man.
He never played better anywhere, anytime. So I'm sorry, but I feel like I have the ability to judge such
That's
things.
okay.
So people are, this was his greatest game, 5 TDs.
Yep.
But let's get back to what you were just saying.
Yeah.
I was presented this and mentioned it in the podcast, and I want to know what your feeling is on it. I think they have benefited from not having Davante Adams in the lineup. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they shouldn't have Davante Adams.
We all know that.
But at this juncture in the offense, in the development of the offense, it's been better for Rodgers to not have to think about getting the ball to Davante Adams. He's just been throwing it to the guys who are open.
As well as maybe the coach and calling plays.
Maybe, yeah, that's a good point.
That, I haven't gotten him enough targets.
Right.
But Davante Adams is the most unselfish superstar you're going to ever find. He is more happy than anybody. Now, don't get me wrong, he wants to be out there. But he is more happy with his guys getting a fresh look. Because without him, Lazard is never the guy he can be.
Right.
You really don't see that. And you really get a chance to see Scantling getting the long passes. One we're going to show in X's and O's that is amazing. that play had a little similar to another play
and
you
we'll
pointed
talk
out.
about that later.
Yes, that's a nugget that we'll
But I'll
save.
tell you another aspect is that Rodgers is throwing to the backs.
Yes.
And
Yep.
he wasn't doing that as much, and that's also a result of Davante Adams not being there.
Yep.
Let's face it, when he completed 10 passes for 180 yards, was it, to Davante Adams? They lost.
Yep.
They lost.
Yep.
So I think it's hammering down. I'm sure LaFleur hopes it is, hammering the point that in his offense, it's better to distribute the ball all around. Davante Adams should make the big catch when you need him in the red zone and
that's a good point.
all the other
Yeah.
clutch catches. But the offense doesn't work if you're just throwing to one guy. It's kind of the philosophy of the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think Aaron the way he's distributing the ball, if Davante's open, he'll get the ball.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
other guys will get open as well, and then he won't get sacked. He'll be able to scramble, to go back to the old Rodgers where teams wouldn't attack because he'd scramble and get like 30 yards and jump up. It's a great offense, but everybody has to buy into it and be unselfish. And that's how it works.
That's what they're doing.
Yes, and I think that's great. You develop other guys. I want to see Scantling going down the field, be a deep threat, like all these deep threat guys. They're just deep threat guys. You need a guy like that on your team. Does this put to bed, though, about people wanting another receiver? Somebody with a little bit more wiggle.
Good question.
I mean,
so New England just traded a second-round pick to Atlanta for Mohamed Sanu,
Right.
who I think is a really good
Yeah, he
player.
was a good role player. He's been good at. He's a slot guy.
And he's a number 3. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you would call him, maybe he's
He is a 3 with Calvin Ridley.
Calvin
there.
Ridley and
Yes.
Julio Jones. But would you have given up a second-round pick if you're the Packers for him? He's 30 years old.
I need somebody in that slot, and he would have been very
You think he
productive
would have
there.
been good there?
I don't know
for
what
a
they're gonna do.
second-round pick?
And see, that's the thing about these picks. You can always get back in with other picks. There's ways you can do that. But say you pass on that, and you're going to live with Ryan Grant.
Yeah.
Okay, but does that still put to bed? I say no. I think that the Packers are going to look to probably enhance their roster if they have spots. But if they don't, you feel good about what happened. But we
Yeah.
also know that in the first quarter, no receiver had a pass for whatever reason. But I don't care about that as long as you're moving the ball around and spreading it
Well, you
around.
have two
So-
backs who can do something with the ball when they have it in their hands.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big Devontae Parker guy. I like that guy in Miami. I don't know what it would cost to get him, but he would be a difference maker in this particular offense. I think Emmanuel Sanders, AJ Green, a lot of these guys. People like these name brand guys, got these big names, but I don't know if they'll fit this late in the season because they got to come in, they got to learn it, and then next thing you know,
I just think
maybe
you have
it's too late.
You have to be careful because if you next year, Jimmy Graham's not going to be here. Mercedes Lewis, you got to start. You got to rebuild that tight end position,
Yes.
and you have to continue to start to build the wide receiver position.
I agree.
So second round pick, you got Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings,
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams,
Yes.
Randall Cobb.
Yes.
Those are all second-round picks.
Yes.
So I'm not so certain I would give up a second-round
But if you
pick.
think that guy can help you get to the Super Bowl, it's worth it. It is worth it.
Can Mohamed
anytime.
Sanu get me to the Super Bowl?
Based on a role player, he probably could. If you think you have
think
enough
so?
now. If you think you have enough
Well, that's
now.
that's what a GM's job is.
Right. Brian had to say, guys, do you think we have enough now for a guy to get open when Aaron really needs him if they're doubling number 17?
Apparently,
That's the question.
Apparently, he doesn't because logic would tell you if he wanted Mohamed Sanu and was willing to offer a second, he would have got it because Packers' second would probably be better than New England's second.
Yeah.
New England's is going to be the 32nd pick in the draft the way they're
31,
playing
the
right
Packers
now.
will be 32nd.
Yeah, so.
But I get your point.
yeah,
I get your point.
So he must not have been
that's-
willing to go that far.
That's probably overvalued for a guy on his third team.
Or they
I
didn't
get
want
it.
to trade him in the NFC, but it doesn't matter. Atlanta's not a contender.
No,
Sorry.
Atlanta.
Okay, go ahead. I'm just
Between
thinking
now
out
and then, There's 3 or 4 teams that are going to start getting rid of players.
Yeah.
Miami, Cincinnati, and Atlanta.
Yeah.
Because they're starting to tank a little bit. But if they stay where they are, now the guy that you need more from is Shepard on returns.
Yeah.
And you got to use him in the offense.
They got to get a returner, don't they?
Yeah, because they're getting any. Well, that makes you bring up Trevor Davis.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
would you
How much
do
were
that?
you thinking, boy,
Yeah.
Trevor Davis would look good in a Packers uniform?
Yeah, just keep him. Then you don't have to worry about that. You
Yeah.
can try to focus on another position.
Yeah.
But let's move on.
Well, that's water under the bridge, but
But you gotta have a bridge for water to be under.
It has to be on Gutekunst's record. It's part of his record.
Oh,
And
no
right
question.
Now, it's not looking very good.
No, I mean, you got to hit more than you miss. And you're going to miss sometimes, but I just don't understand that if that position was something you were looking at, you wake up and say, okay, I got to move him.
Yeah.
To create space for somebody else. Maybe it was for Lazard or I don't know.
I don't either.
But it hurts your return.
It did.
So.
Yeah, and coverage. I mean, he was a decent coverage guy, too.
Yeah,
he was
absolutely.
A gunner.
He's a pretty decent receiver.
Yeah.
They just saw that last week. But,
okay.
Oh, well.
So the Packers catch a huge break this week, not having to face Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
They would have been probably 4.5 point dogs, maybe 5-point dogs.
Possibly, yeah.
And now they're 4.5 point favorites, 3.5, 4.5 point favorites. I guess Mahomes is worth that much, but do you think they're 4.5 point favorites?
Based on what Aaron Rodgers just did, based on what he did with Kansas City in the past, and not to mention that the team is one of the best in the NFC, yeah. And not only that, if you're Travis Kelce, you got to feel like what Waller did, against this defense. You're going to have a career day, but I don't know how much you buy into the quarterback more.
Yeah.
The guy's been around forever. I don't know. But he got speed everywhere. I mean, Tyreek Hill and these guys, Hartman and these guys, Robinson, all these guys are just flyers. And, McCoy at running back. But for some reason, you can put the Chiefs in that whole thing of teams that they'll find out a way to throw up all over themselves, either in the playoffs or somewhere during the season. And you just got to take advantage of that. So hopefully they can go there in a great environment. But here's another thing I want to point out. Here's another week they're on national TV. That is just great branding for Matt LaFleur, Aaron Rodgers, and the group. Because people, if you don't buy into San Francisco or if you don't buy into the Saints, the Packers are right now something everybody in America is going to get behind.
Okay, let me ask you this. When's the next time that they will not be the favorites?
Ooh, that's a good question.
So we got Kansas City. They're going to be the favorite. I think the Chargers, they'll be the favorite.
Oh, no
Chargers
question. The Chargers are just coming way back to the pack.
Yep. Then they face
the division
Carolina,
opponents.
is it? No, they have boy, my memory is bad.
And you're asking a guy that memory's always been bad.
Yeah.
But let's just assume
so they have Carolina at
they'll
home.
be favored throughout all the way.
I don't think so. I think the next
Well, Minnesota and Minnesota.
what about San Francisco?
That's
They
a good
play
one.
at San Francisco.
If San Francisco is still playing the way they were, that defense,
I
the
think
best
that-
in the league, I can see them. But then you're gonna bring in the whole narrative that Aaron has still got a chip on his shoulder.
About San Francisco this much later.
It's a fun headline, isn't it? I mean,
But that might
so
be.
he'll probably beat them.
So their
too.
next 4 games, they probably will be favored.
Yeah,
they
I
are a
think so.
team that will, from this point on, have a target on their back.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing. Yes, I think you play better in those games. I always like being a team got to play their best against me because I always play my best. I don't like playing teams that I'm way better than because I wouldn't say trap game. We would say stat game. But those teams, it just look bad on your resume. If a team beats you that's another playoff team, okay, you can understand that. But it's just that when a team beats you, like Illinois beat a Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's, hey,
But you know what?
man,
That's going to happen in an NFL season. And
It is, but you just don't want it to
how do
happen to you.
Well, if it does, in college football, it's the end of the world. In the
Yeah,
NFL,
I know. Right.
it's not.
You're right. But with the fan base, it might be, though.
how does, if it does happen, it'll be a good test of Matt LaFleur's ability to keep his team focused, right?
Yes, yes.
I mean, you guys lost, you're undefeated, and you lost in Indianapolis.
That's right. Paul Justin was the quarterback. I think. I mean,
you lost
Marvin
to Lindy
Harris,
and Fonte,
yes,
right?
it wasn't my fault, though, if you look at the tape.
Yeah, right.
Probably was, but it wasn't, we won't show that tape.
All right, so let's go to your pick.
Well, my
for
prediction
Kansas
would
City.
be, obviously, with Patrick Mahomes out, there's some changes to be made in the reigning MVP, which they say is unlikely to play. I don't think he will. But I think the Packers will win 31-28. They're playing so much better now. It's just that the fun thing about it, who's going to be the player of the week this week? I mean, it can be anybody. Like it was Aaron Jones. It could be Scanlon. It could be Jimmy Graham. That's the fun thing of watching this team. Mm-hmm. Each week it's a different guy, not the same guy. Right. So you don't have to rush back Devontae Adams. But if you look at two teams with their two stars out, the Saints, who's playing out of their mind without Drew Brees, and the Packers receivers stepping up without Devontae Adams, those two teams, you would think without your Pro Bowler, you're going to fade, but they seem to rise up. Mm-hmm. So I think the Packers will win it, and that'll be good for them on a Sunday night game. I mean, I love that exposure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. There you have it. Yeah. Don't forget to join us for X's and O's. We got look at that Valdez-Scantling touchdown, and also some questionable play on defense.
Yeah, you got to know why guys
they're going to have. They're going to have to clean up if they are going to.
You sound like
win out through. Yeah.
Get it cleaned up.
Yep. Get through this road trip. So. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.